Welcome to English Voxora. If you can understand English, you can speak English. Every lesson here brings you one closer to thinking, listening, and speaking like a native.
Before we talk about English, I simply want us to slow down for a moment. I want this to feel less like a lesson and more like a quiet conversation between two friends. So let me ask you something, and I hope you'll answer it honestly. Have you ever noticed something strange? You can understand a sentence in English. You know the words. You even know the grammar. But the moment you want to speak, everything disappears. Your mind becomes quiet, not because you know nothing, but because you are trying to do too much in one tiny moment. I know that feeling. I know what it is like to open your mouth and then close it again because you are afraid the words won't come out correctly. Maybe you've done that before. Maybe you've whispered an English sentence to yourself, then immediately thought, "No, that sounds wrong." So you stayed silent. If that sounds familiar, I want you to stay with me. Not because I have a magic trick, not because I can make you fluent overnight, but because today, I want to help you let go of something much heavier than grammar. I want to help you let go of fear. Take a slow breath, just for a moment. Forget tests. Forget perfect pronunciation. Forget trying to sound like a native speaker. For the next little while, I simply want you to speak. Not perfectly, just honestly, because language has never been about perfection. It has always been about connection. And the beautiful thing is, your English doesn't have to be perfect before your confidence begins. Your confidence begins the moment you stop waiting. I want to tell you a story, not about someone extraordinary, just about an ordinary learner. Someone who spent years studying English. Every evening, new vocabulary, grammar exercises, listening practice, more notebooks than they could count. But every time someone asked a simple question, "How are you today?" there was silence. Not because they didn't know the answer, because they were translating, first in their own language, then into English, checking every word, changing the sentence, correcting the grammar, wondering if it sounded natural. By the time the sentence was finally ready, the conversation had already moved on. Does that sound familiar? Maybe you've experienced something similar. If you have, please don't blame yourself. Your brain is only doing what you've trained it to do. And here's something many people never realize. Translation is not a sign that you're bad at English. It's simply a habit. And habits can be changed, not by force, but by repetition. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. At first, every movement feels impossible. Balance, pedaling, turning, stopping. Everything requires conscious thought, but after enough practice, you don't think. You simply ride. Speaking English works the same way. Fluency isn't something you memorize. It's something you build, one small repetition at a time. Today, I don't want to fill your head with hundreds of new words. I want to make the words you already know easier to use. Because I have met learners who know 5,000 English words, yet struggle to say, "I'm a little tired today." And I've met learners with only a few hundred words, who can have wonderful conversations. Do you know why? Because they use what they know, again and again and again. Knowledge grows through learning. Confidence grows through using. Those are two different things. Most people spend all their time collecting knowledge. Very few spend enough time building confidence. Today, let's build confidence together. I want you to imagine something. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You open your eyes. You look outside your window. Without thinking, you quietly say, "It's a beautiful morning." No translation, no effort. Just a simple thought. Can you imagine that? It sounds small, but moments like that change everything. Because fluency doesn't suddenly appear during a conversation. It begins long before that. It begins inside your own mind. One tiny English thought at a time. Let's try something together. Don't worry. There are no right answers. Look around the room you're in. Really look. Maybe there's a chair, a cup, a phone, a window. Now gently describe one thing. Just one. You could say, "This is my chair." Or, "My phone is on the table." That's enough. Really, that's enough. Don't add more. Don't make it complicated. One sentence. Now pause. Smile. Because you just spoke English. Maybe it wasn't impressive. Maybe nobody heard it. But your brain did. And that's the part that matters. Every sentence you speak is like placing one tiny stone. One stone doesn't look important. Neither do 10. But after hundreds, you build a road. One day, you'll look back and realize you crossed a distance that once seemed impossible. Sometimes people ask me, "How long will it take before I can speak naturally?" I always smile because it's the wrong question. A better question is, how many small conversations can I have with myself today? Because fluency doesn't arrive on a calendar. It grows inside ordinary moments. While making coffee, while washing dishes, while walking outside, while folding clothes. Those quiet moments become your classroom. Not because someone tells you to study, because life gives you endless chances to speak. Imagine picking up your keys. Instead of silence, you whisper, "I need my keys." You open the refrigerator. "I'm looking for some milk." You sit down. "I'm feeling relaxed." Tiny thoughts, tiny sentences, tiny victories. Most people ignore these moments because they seem too simple. But simple things repeated every day become extraordinary. Here's something surprising. Your mouth also needs practice, not just your brain. Many learners believe speaking happens only in the mind. But speaking is physical. Your tongue moves differently. Your lips move differently. Your breathing changes. Your muscles are learning something new. That's why thinking isn't enough. You have to let your voice exist. Even quietly, even imperfectly, even if you make mistakes. Imagine learning to play the piano without touching the keys. Impossible. The same is true for speaking. The voice becomes stronger by being used, not by staying hidden. From today, I want you to make one gentle promise. Not a big promise, not something impossible. Just this. I will speak one more English sentence than I spoke yesterday. That's all. If yesterday you spoke 3 sentences, today, speak 4. If yesterday you spoke none, today, speak 1. One sentence changes tomorrow. Tomorrow changes next week. Next week changes your confidence. Confidence changes your life. There's another habit I hope you'll begin. Stop asking yourself, "What if I make a mistake?" Instead ask, "What if this sentence helps me become braver?" Do you notice the difference? The sentence hasn't changed. Only your perspective has. Fear loves questions that imagine failure. Growth loves questions that imagine possibility. Every time you choose possibility, you become a little freer. Now I'd like you to close your eyes for just a few seconds. Imagine yourself 6 months from today. You're speaking with someone in English. Not perfectly, but comfortably. You laugh. You answer naturally. You don't rush. You don't panic. You're simply present. How does that version of you feel? Peaceful? Proud? Calm? Hold on to that feeling. Because that future version of you isn't created in one big moment. It's being created right now with this sentence, with your next sentence, and the one after that. There is one more idea I want to share before we continue. It may surprise you. The biggest obstacle to speaking English isn't vocabulary. It isn't grammar. It isn't pronunciation. It's permission. Many learners have never given themselves permission to sound imperfect. They wait until they're ready. But readiness doesn't come first. Practice comes first. Then confidence. Then fluency. In that order, always. And in just a moment, I'm going to show you a simple exercise that can begin breaking the translation habit almost immediately. It's so easy that most people overlook it, yet it quietly changes the way your brain speaks to itself. Let's discover it together. The exercise is called see, say, smile. 3 tiny steps. Nothing complicated, nothing to memorize. Whenever you notice something around you, see it, say one simple sentence, then smile. That's it. Why smile? Not because you have to pretend everything is perfect, because your brain remembers emotions. If speaking English always feels stressful, your brain begins connecting English with fear. But if speaking feels relaxed, even for a few seconds, your brain slowly creates a new connection. English becomes safe. And once your brain feels safe, it learns faster. Let's practice together. Look at your hand. Just your hand. Now say, "This is my hand." Good. Now look at the nearest object. Maybe it's your phone. Say, "My phone is here." Wonderful. Now look outside. It looks sunny. Or, "It's cloudy today." Did you notice something? You weren't translating a long paragraph. You were simply describing life. That's exactly how children begin learning language. Not through difficult lessons. Through ordinary moments. The beautiful thing is, those ordinary moments are available every single day. You never run out of them. Now I want to tell you something that changed the way I practice forever. I stopped asking, "What new words should I learn today?" Instead, I asked, "How many different ways can I use the words I already know?" That single question transformed everything. Imagine you only know the word happy. Many learners think that's only one word. I see dozens of possibilities. I feel happy. You look happy. We're happy today. I'm happy you're here. I'm happy because I tried. The little things make me happy. One word. Many conversations. Fluency doesn't come from collecting thousands of words. It comes from giving your words many chances to live. So instead of chasing more vocabulary every day, spend a little more time using today's vocabulary in different ways. Your brain loves variety. It remembers patterns much better than isolated facts. Here's another gentle exercise. Choose one word each morning. Only one. Perhaps today's word is today. Now keep using it throughout your day. Today is busy. Today feels peaceful. I'll study today. Today is getting better. You are no longer studying one word. You're building relationships between words. That's how language becomes natural. Like friends meeting each other over and over again. Can I tell you a secret? Sometimes silence is actually helpful. That might sound strange. Most people believe they should always fill every moment with speaking. But every now and then, pause. Look around. Take one slow breath. Then let one English sentence appear naturally. No pressure. No rush. Sometimes, the best sentence comes after a quiet moment. Fluency isn't speed. Fluency is comfort. And comfort grows in calm spaces. Not in panic. Now let's talk about listening. Not as homework. Not as another task. As a gift, think about your favorite song. You probably didn't memorize every lyric the first time you heard it. You listened again and again, without forcing yourself. One day, you realized you already knew the words. Language works the same way. Your ears quietly collect patterns long before your mouth begins using them. That's why I hope you stop worrying every time you don't understand everything. Understanding every word is not the goal. Becoming familiar with the rhythm is. Listen for voices. Listen for emotions. Listen for pauses. Notice how people connect ideas. Notice how relaxed natural speech really is. You'll discover something surprising. Native speakers don't speak like textbooks. They repeat themselves. They pause. They restart sentences. They laugh. They simplify. Real English is wonderfully human, and that's good news. Because you are wonderfully human too. Here's something I hope you'll try tomorrow. Instead of listening to an hour of English while your mind is somewhere else, listen to 5 minutes with your whole attention. 5 minutes, that's all. Choose one sentence you like. Pause. Repeat it. Again, again, again. Not because you're trying to sound exactly the same, because you're teaching your mouth a new rhythm. Your mouth learns through movement, just like dancing, just like singing, just like smiling. I remember meeting someone who said, "I understand English when I'm alone." But when people speak, everything becomes too fast. I asked one simple question. Do you listen only once? They smiled. Yes. Imagine planting a seed. Would you expect a flower tomorrow morning? Of course not. You would water it again and again. Listening works the same way. One conversation, many times. The first time, you hear the melody. The second time, you notice familiar words. The third time, whole ideas begin making sense. The fourth time, you start speaking along. Nothing magical happened. Only repetition. And repetition is one of the kindest teachers you'll ever meet. It never complains. It simply asks, would you like to try one more time? Now, I want to introduce another tiny habit. I call it borrowing sentences. Don't worry. You're not copying forever. You're borrowing while you learn. When you hear a sentence you love, keep it. Use it during your own day. Maybe you hear, I'm looking forward to the weekend. Wonderful. Use it. Maybe you hear, I'll do my best. Keep it. Maybe you hear, that sounds like a good idea. Excellent. Say it tomorrow. These ready-made expressions become little building blocks. Eventually, you'll stop borrowing because you'll naturally begin creating your own. That's exactly how confidence grows. Not through giant leaps, through hundreds of small moments that quietly become yours. Let's play a little imagination game. Imagine we're walking through a quiet park together. The air feels fresh. Birds are singing. People pass by. Instead of translating your thoughts, you simply notice things. The trees are beautiful. I hear birds. It's peaceful here. I feel relaxed. Nothing impressive. Yet everything important. Because those simple thoughts are happening directly in English. No translator. No waiting room inside your mind. Only experience. This is what thinking in English really feels like. Not difficult. Not dramatic. Just natural. Like breathing a little more deeply. I know some people are listening right now and thinking, but my English isn't good enough. May I gently challenge that thought? Perhaps your English isn't the problem. Perhaps your expectations are, you've been trying to sound like someone who has practiced for years, instead of sounding like someone who is courageously practicing today. Those are completely different things. Please don't compare today's voice with someone else's 10th year. Compare today's voice with your own yesterday. That's where real progress lives. There's another question I hope you'll ask yourself every evening. Not, did I study enough? Instead ask, did English become part of my day? Those questions lead to different lives. One measures time, the other measures connection. Maybe today English was one sentence while making breakfast. Maybe it was repeating a phrase during a walk. Maybe it was quietly describing the sky before bed. Those moments count. Every single one of them counts. Because language grows inside daily life, not outside it. And in just a moment, I'd like to share one of my favorite confidence exercises. It's simple, a little unexpected, and it helps your brain stop worrying about mistakes before they even happen. Once you understand why it works, you'll never look at speaking practice the same way again. I'd like to share one of my favorite confidence exercises. It's called the 5-second voice. Here's how it works. Whenever you have an English sentence in your mind, don't give yourself 30 seconds to judge it. Don't give yourself a minute to correct it. Give yourself 5 seconds. Then say it, even if it isn't perfect. Why? Because doubt grows with time. The longer you wait, the louder your inner critic becomes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Speak. You may discover something surprising. Most of the sentences you were afraid to say were actually good enough. Not perfect, but real. And real communication has always mattered more than perfect communication. Let me ask you something. When a small child is learning to speak, do we stop them every time they make a mistake? No. We celebrate every attempt, every little word, every tiny sentence. We smile because we know they're learning. So why do we speak so harshly to ourselves? Why do we expect perfection from someone who is still learning? I hope, from today, you'll become your own kind teacher. not your own toughest judge. When you make a mistake, instead of saying, I'm terrible at English, try saying, I'm becoming better every time I speak. Those two sentences create two completely different futures. There is another habit I hope you'll carry with you. Celebrate tiny wins. Did you understand one new sentence today? Celebrate it. Did you speak for 30 seconds without translating? Celebrate it. Did you finally say hello to someone in English? Celebrate it. Progress is quiet. It rarely announces itself. Most of the time, it hides inside very ordinary moments. That's why many people think they aren't improving. They are looking for giant changes. But fluency grows like sunrise, little by little, almost too slowly to notice. Until one day, the whole sky is bright. Now let's imagine something together. Picture yourself 6 months from now. You're sitting in a cafe. Someone asks you a simple question in English. This time, you don't panic. You smile. You answer naturally. Maybe not with perfect grammar. Maybe not with a perfect accent. But with confidence. The conversation continues. You ask a question back. You laugh. You understand. You respond. When the conversation ends, you don't think, I made mistakes. You think, I actually did it. That moment won't arrive because you wished for it. It will arrive because of the tiny choices you make every day. The one sentence. The 1 minute of listening. The one paragraph you read. The one moment you chose courage over comfort. Small actions create remarkable futures. I also want you to remember something very important. Your accent is not your enemy. Your mistakes are not your enemy. Your slow progress is not your enemy. The real enemy is giving up before your habits have time to grow. Please don't quit during the quiet season. Every learner has one. A season where it feels like nothing is changing. You practice. You repeat. You listen. You speak. And it seems as if you're standing still. But you're not. Imagine planting bamboo. For a long time, almost nothing appears above the ground. It looks like nothing is happening. Yet, underneath, the roots are spreading, becoming stronger, preparing for future growth. Your English is doing the same thing. Some days the improvement is invisible. That doesn't mean it isn't happening. Trust the roots. I'd like to leave you with another little challenge. Not for next month, not for next week. For today, before you go to sleep tonight, speak English to yourself for just 2 minutes. Talk about your day. Talk about what made you smile. Talk about what you hope tomorrow will bring. If you forget a word, don't stop. Find another way to say it. That's what fluent speakers do every single day. They don't know every word either. They simply keep communicating. Communication is always more important than perfection. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, before you touch your phone, before you read any messages, look around your room. Take one slow breath. Then say 3 simple sentences in English. Maybe, today is a new day. I'm ready to practice. I'll keep going. Only 3 sentences. But those 3 sentences tell your brain something powerful. This language belongs in my life. Repeat that every morning. And after a while, English will stop feeling like a school subject. It will begin feeling like part of who you are. One day, someone may ask you, how did you become more confident in English? You probably won't say, I found one perfect lesson. You'll smile, and you'll remember hundreds of tiny moments. Walking while speaking to yourself. Repeating one sentence 5 times. Smiling after a small success. Listening carefully. Thinking directly in English. Choosing courage instead of silence. Those ordinary moments will become an extraordinary story. Your story. Before we finish, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not behind. You are not too old. You are not too slow. You have not failed. You are simply learning. And learning has never been a race. Some flowers bloom in spring. Some bloom in summer. Both are beautiful. Your journey has its own season. Honor it. Trust it. Keep walking. If today is the first day you've decided to stop translating and start speaking, I'm proud of you. Not because your English suddenly became perfect, but because you made a decision. A decision to keep showing up. A decision to trust yourself. A decision to let your voice be heard. And that decision is more powerful than you realize. So here's my invitation. When this video ends, don't close it and move on with your day. Take 60 seconds. Speak. Just speak. Describe your room. Describe the weather. Describe how you feel. Let your voice fill the silence. Because every fluent speaker you admire once had a first sentence. Today, you have yours. And before you leave, I'd love to hear from you. Write one simple English sentence in the comments. It doesn't have to be perfect. It only has to be yours. Maybe it's, today, I chose courage. Or, I'm learning one sentence at a time. Or simply, I won't give up. That one sentence could encourage someone else who is reading the comments and wondering if they should keep going. Let's remind each other that none of us learns alone. We're building confidence together. One word, one sentence, one conversation, one day at a time. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself. Be patient with yourself. Keep listening. Keep speaking. Keep believing. And I'll be here to continue this journey with you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching. If this lesson helped you, please like, subscribe to English Voxora, and join us for more real English every week. See you in the next lesson. Goodbye!